Bones are amazing things. They hold us up, they support us, they make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin, but they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Hello and welcome to Bone Throwers Theater. My name is Jordan and I am the GM.
Hi, I'm Johnny and normally I play Chime North.
And this is Jeremy. Normally I play Julian Illix.
This is Jeff. I normally play Jerr Lan.
My name is Aaron, and I play Sam Feluge. There's nothing normal about it.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
No. So guys, how did you enjoy today's play?
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
Some really soapy stuff.
Soapy?
Like soap opera.
Oh, yes.
There was a lot of really dark things that happened, too. At least two very sinister things.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of the characters needed to let go of some emotions. Like, definitely, Chime did.
Well, Chime definitely did.
Poor Chime, this is like your first opportunity to do something aside from getting pushed around by other characters, like, or pushed around by your brother specifically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pushed around by a 5-year-old. I just say it because it sounds ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous.
And then Julian's
Just plain ridiculous.
pushed
Just
around by a
plain.
5-year-old. Your whole existence has been destroyed by the absence of a 5-year-old.
Yes and no, because it's bigger. It's actually bigger than that. It's something Jerr Lan said in play that resonates with Julian, but he wasn't there for it. So we talked about it possibly being an episode title, but it hasn't really come into play yet. So Jer's thing was every single time he tries to do something to help, something catastrophic happens. For Julian, since he's been 10 years old, anybody who he gets close to, they die. His whole entire family.
Both his brothers, his dad.
Yeah, his brothers, his dad, his mom, Aelin.
That's literally everybody.
Everybody that's been like super close to him. Yeah.
So you just get to know a proxy really, really well, and you'll start ganking them that way.
So guess who's next?
Me.
Both of you.
No.
We're not going to get attached.
And then you started working for Gaspar, and Gaspar's dead.
Well,
That was different.
yeah, that wasn't it. He wasn't really close to Gaspar. He was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, he was originally working for Kodarara.
Yeah.
Yes.
The guy at the waste treatment.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time getting over the scene where Sam and Abel were having the confrontation out front of the hospital.
That
That
was
That was so, like, it was dark. It was
yeah.
really dark.
Because how old is Abel? Abel is
7. He's
7?
the one that's 7.
Yeah.
And so, that's Sam's, trying to do right in her own mind, its own mind, to do right by Abel, do their own mind. Yes, Sam and Shade are trying to do right by this kid, and the kid is very resistant to
Considering other options.
correct. Abel wanted specifically to stick with Sam and Shade, and Sam doesn't have that capability. To be honest, doesn't have that extra time right now because we're in the middle of this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Which is interesting because, like, Sam in your backstory has shown a lot of interest in Kaylin.
yes.
So you have shown interest in younger people before. It's just a matter of the timing.
Correct. And the fact then that Abel was resistant to what Sam was doing at that point, Sam kind of realized there's no way this is going to work out. And so was going to attempt to let him know.
No uncertain terms.
Put him in his place. Well, that didn't work out. So Sam's like, all right, I'm done. And we see how that turned out. Should have just killed him. Should have just killed the 7-year-old.
Oh. Well,
So,
She didn't want
you'd have
that.
saved another person's life.
yeah. Maybe.
Destroyed it, but saved it.
She didn't want him to die.
No, Shade is still interested in that action.
Mm-hmm.
And Troller as well.
We have no clue if Choller's alive or not.
Yeah, I like how that didn't come up.
Yeah.
Here's 2 explosions.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Troller's dead? Or Troller's
Please,
alive?
please.
I know our GM. I know Troller's not dead.
Well, there could be.
I don't
His
think
bosses, he could be dead, and his bosses could come in. You know,
I thought he had like a magical gear in his pocket, and he just comes back to life.
Oh, God.
Shh, wrong campaign.
That the magical gear was the GM's get out of jail free card.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, your players do this. How can I use that against them?
Uh-huh.
That's what that
But with the fact that Troller's a fire elemental, or a fire proxy.
There's some
In
better
the
chance
midst-
of surviving.
in the midst of a
Surviving
fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still a very, very large explosion.
It was a very large explosion.
Yeah.
If he survived, he is horribly disfigured.
Maybe.
And possibly horribly maimed.
Maybe.
I mean, one of the things to think about, I don't know if I explicitly said this, but I kind of figured that Troller, the accelerant that exploded, was a big part of the fire, but he intentionally stoked it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Inside, yeah.
Which
So-
is another
question
reason
is-
why we think that he's probably
But the question
still
is,
alive.
was it Choller doing it, or was it Choller's elemental doing it, leaving Choller?
Yeah.
What I love,
He wouldn't have, if he was just going to leave Choller, he would have done it down in the sewers.
Why?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not
why-
necessarily. Like when you got to that point where you threw him up and Choller was going to be arrested,
And so he might have just ditched his
say, okay, this man's used up his usefulness for me.
yeah, you
ditched his meat suit right then.
Yeah.
use them until there's
So
use them until you lose them.
dismal.
Because that's how this whole
His egger
campaign
suit.
started
I
off.
Yes,
can
his egger
see
suit.
Choller being using an 80s TV reference, the Murdoch of this campaign. You think he's dead, comes back. You think he's dead again.
Suspiciously enough, it involves fire a second time.
I was just thinking, because that's how the whole campaign started off, was with a fire elemental choosing to abandon somebody and jump between bodies.
Let's go ahead and talk about another major world building moment that we had here. Serrani.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Face off.
That was totally unexpected.
I had
Yeah.
completely forgotten that we had talked androids at all.
Oh, I
Yeah.
had forgotten. It's just we had said there's no androids here. So I was like, okay, there's no
Inconsiderate, yeah.
androids here. And so it didn't even cross my mind when I was like, okay, there's something about this old lady.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's something.
Oh, yeah.
That was very
It-
smart of you.
It did not even cross
Well played,
my mind. Because
Jordan.
I was like,
Well
okay,
played.
is she an innate, a proxy, or is the dog?
Yeah.
That
Right,
was-
because we had talked about one of our theories that the dog was actually a proxy.
It sounds so silly, but
Right?
It's possible.
So
Okay, pause for a minute. Since we're saying it sounded so silly. When Chime was being interviewed by the Major, everything he was saying sounded so crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It sounded totally ridiculous.
like you should have been in the same
Absolutely.
asylum.
It was like, all right, they're going to lock you up.
So you
Not
were
because they
kidnapped by
think-
a 5-year-old.
Not because they think you did a crime, because they think you're nuts. Yeah, they came over and they made a banana. And they did this weird thing over a banana, and it freaked me out.
Hey, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
that is the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
I say
Yeah.
inside of a fictional game.
yeah, the dog being a proxy sounded crazy, but it was a theory.
It was a theory.
Because we were totally just androids. Okay, they're not around. That really threw Julian for a huge loop, especially because we sort of established that they aren't, by common knowledge, aren't in Consiglio,
Right.
Yeah.
and by that fact, not even a lot of people would maybe even know about them since information is so controlled.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at the same time, we also kind of should have had a hint when she was talking to a dog, because animals are so scarce in the city.
Uh-huh. And
Yes.
and the androids are the ones who are the caretakers of the animal
animals.
preserve. In game, we don't know that.
Well, Jerr might.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jerr probably wouldn't know
Julian
that.
definitely doesn't know.
correct.
No.
I mean, he's not even from Consiglio.
So, like, when I said that she was talking to a dog, what? That was like the first or second session that we
You
played?
talked about maybe just using her as a throwaway.
It was just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
And you guys fixated on it. So I'm like,
It's because it confused the heck out of us.
I was like, I gotta do something with this. I
In
gotta.
this world, I mean, something like that can't just be
Well,
throwaway.
If it wasn't so confusing, it would have been like...
Listen, you threw something out that was odd to a PI.
Uh-huh.
He's going to pick it up and try and figure everything out about it that he can. So
Yeah,
that's
so I had to take it to the real logical conclusion, which you pointed out with the animal preserve.
yeah.
That was the in-world logical conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But since we said that you guys didn't have the androids there, it's just like totally went over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a nice little reveal, and it was a nice bring back of a character who I think could be a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, definitely could be. Especially, since she's obviously involved with the Helping Hands.
Mm-hmm.
Healing hands, yeah.
Healing Hands.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, I know.
Helping Hands.
Uh-huh.
It's a charity organization.
Donate to your local nonprofit.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and also with Katari, I loved that exchange with Jerr.
I love this too.
That was
Okay.
fantastic.
Since we're on that, it started off so awkward. I was like, oh, what? Are we really doing this again? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, last session, Jerr took like leaps and bounds forward. It's like, all right, he took like 50 steps forward. Now he's taking 53 steps back.
Yeah.
And I was like, are we doing this again? And then the way the conversation developed, it was less of Jerr just being like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Nope, I'm not going to do it. He was like, nope, doing it is stupid. And here is why.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
It was
I-
like almost like a been there, done that, and he did seem more old and crotchety this episode than just stubborn and no.
Yeah.
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 And then when it came back around at the end of the session 2 with Chime,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there was at one point where, Jerr, you were giving him advice, and Aaron and I just looked at each other and it's like, is he really giving that advice? Because it's like, you can either face your whatever and do something about it, or you can run from it. And I was like,
Well, so when he was saying that, I knew that he full well knew that he chose to run from it.
okay. Yeah.
Like, that's why he gave that as an option. He wasn't pushing one way or the other. He was just saying you can do something about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that scene with Katari, it's like, is this going to actually be anything of substance? And then it was just like, it just got deeper and deeper and deeper as
Yeah.
as it kept going on. I think that was a really good scene.
Throwing old flags in front of your face, trying to get a reaction.
Yeah, I knew what you were doing, which is why he was just like ignoring most of it. But then when you were like, you don't do anything, you don't help, I was like, look, I'm helping right now. Get over it.
Mhm.
And then he kept going.
How about the scene in the morgue?
I didn't know what to do there, honestly.
That
I
was-
just like,
that was a
I
good
was at a
scene.
loss.
It was a good scene.
I liked the scene. I mean, I liked, Jeff, what you contributed to that scene, because you were kind of brought everything sort of back to perspective at one point. I forgot what you said, but it was, dang it, I don't even remember.
But
But
Julian was so focused on the android thing and wasn't focused on the fact that, at least it didn't seem that we're there to find to look at Gaspar's body and to investigate that.
well, no, he was focused totally on Gaspard, because remember, he walked right up to Katari, and
Yes.
and it was like, this person you sent to find me. We'll talk about that later, because we need to talk about that. But what's this deal with Gaspard?
Yeah.
The one who actually went and actually
Found the body.
found him was Jerr. Jerr's like, well, I'm here. Let's.
Oh my gosh. When you said that there was another one that had a small child in it, I was like, is this going to happen this way?
Oh.
Yeah,
I was like,
If it had been a day later, then yes.
I was like, is this going to happen this way? 'Cause
Well,
that,
her body was still probably under
yeah.
legal wraps.
Yeah, because
So
that would have
If it had been
been.
a day later, then maybe.
Also, that hospital was a little far away.
Yeah, it was.
So again, a throwaway line. Really amped up the tension.
Yeah, I held my breath as soon as you said it. I was like,
yeah. And then you were like, it was a preemie, and then Jeremy just like deflated.
Yeah.
You gotta push your players' buttons.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for it right now.
Well, we have lots of buttons.
That
to
would have
push.
been an interesting place to have it happen.
Oh, yeah, it would
Yeah,
have
it
been.
would've. Because no one would have been there to explain anything of what happened.
Other than, yeah.
Anything. It would have been how?
Because that was even before.
Although maybe that would have been better because.
I don't think it would have been better.
I mean, sorry.
Game wise.
Better for interpersonal, less drama. Because you wouldn't have known that Chime was involved until significantly later, if you had found out at all.
And I'm thinking where this is pushing Julian, it probably would have been more interpersonal conflict later on.
Okay.
If he had found out that
way.
And then found out later on that Chime was involved.
Responsible.
Mm.
Involved.
Sam was debating whether to push Julian's buttons more in that confrontation with Chime. Sam was almost going to start on Shade's behest. Kind of, so, Chime, you killed his daughter?
Julian, at one point, I was toying with the idea when you said that Aelin was threatening your life. So close to having Julian just raise his pistol and say,
like this?
you want to know what threatening looks like?
And you know what? Honestly, he would have been much less scared of you than her. Still.
Because
because of the fire elemental.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of your past, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We don't know that.
Yeah, y'all don't know about my phobia.
Right.
Not at all.
So over this week, I finished off the trilogy that I used for my inspiration when we were doing microscope session.
Uh-huh.
This book's trilogy called The Milkweed Triptych. And it's basically German X-Men Nazis versus British warlocks during World War II. And it goes places. To like perform their magic, the warlocks have to offer blood sacrifices. And at one point, the blood sacrifice is the soul of an unborn child.
Oh, no.
And so that creates a human vessel that the Eidolons can speak through.
That's dark.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
That's about as dark as it gets.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the mind space I've been this week.
We kind of had that discussion, though, that since Aelin was bonded so young, did she ever have a personality of her own?
Right.
And that's one of the things that really has motivated my take on the proxies and how they react with other people and what happens when they bond with them. It's like,
I like the difference that you're highlighting as well of how they look when Julian was able to see them.
Yeah.
And this might eventually because this is not even on Julian's radar right now.
Yeah.
Eventually get him to see that maybe not all of them are completely useless.
well,
Or
the idea that Qataris was a breastplate.
Right.
That was a cool image that just jumped to mind. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
That was, I like that difference because
Yeah.
up until now, all of them have had some negative connotation
Sinister.
look to them. Even Jerr's, when they showed up at the morgue and I could see that he's boiling. Julian's like, nope.
So that being said, we know that what Julian sees changes based on the elementals or the person's disposition at the time.
Because we saw Abel's was just calm and collected as could be.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously that was not the case with the altercation with Sam.
Well, but then also you saw Sam's down in the tunnels, and it was very much fingers, tendrils in the brain and very wrapped around Sam. And then later it was just sitting on my shoulders. Still tendrils.
Yeah. Have you
still fingers?
Have you seen the movie Shudder?
No.
It's based off of a Thai movie. It's a horror film.
The thing sitting on the shoulder.
Yeah, there's this girl who she's raped in a gang rape, and then she commits suicide, and her ghost goes and sits on the shoulders of the guy who led it.
Yes, I've seen images from that.
Yeah, it's a really creepy movie, and the Thai movie is much creepier. But
what was creepy is the imagery of a full-grown figure sitting on top of the shoulders
of a tiny little. Small framed man.
Small framed gentleman.
Yeah, basically Shade rides Sam like a pony.
Wow. That was just said.
That's some imagery.
Yeah, so we sort of talked in between episodes, and I talked with Jordan a little bit about this, about when Julian actually discovers that Aelin has died.
That's a little off the tracks.
He was going to take him some places. And
so it's going to be interesting to see how you respond next episode, because you're the main investigator for the group. They need you to help track down Abel.
All right.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be interesting because I already know the direction I want to take.
Yeah,
Julian. It's going to be definite roller coaster.
Yeah.
Definite roller coaster. Which I was attempting to show that he left his apartment, gun in hand, in the middle of the night.
Shirtless,
in the middle of a lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, I'm going out. And we can talk about this, because it'll come back up. The whole idea that Miss Guinness's apartment was completely empty.
Yeah.
And the notice on his door, the notice was from the Department of Tenement Explosions. His building is being destroyed.
That made so much more sense. I was like, why was her apartment at the
Yes.
Why did you get a note?
Yeah, I was wondering about, when you said the note, I was like, okay, so maybe she left him a note?
Oh, that could have been the case, too.
So let's go ahead and talk about role-playing.
There was lots of good stuff across the board. I loved Sam and Abel. I loved Jerr and Chime.
That exchange was.
I loved Chime and the Major.
I really liked the Chime and Julian exchange.
Yes.
That was deep.
That was intense.
That was intense.
I knew that was going to be intense going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Very emotional for both of us.
I told Jordan, I was like, I need to be prepared for that scene whenever it happens.
I tried to ease you into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on Chime tonight because of the scene with the Major, the scene with Julian, and then the final scene between Chime and Jerr.
So I'm gonna go with Jerr because that scene with Katari was unexpected gold.
Yeah.
Going into that scene, I was like we talked about it before, and then by the end, I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow.
But it showed consistency of character
Yes.
in the way that he was doing that.
Right.
He's used to doing that for so long that he had to use it.
Yeah, and then I'm going to lump that in with the continuation of that thought process at the end with Chime. So my vote is for Jerr.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for Jerr as well. During the game, I loved the interaction between Sam and Abel, but also loved being
That scene was so good.
being Shade at that point too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually pushed the scene over the edge in certain ways.
Yes,
'Cause
because I think if there had been a different shade, or if shade had been less insistent, I think it could have played.
Oh, it could have gone
differently.
completely differently.
Good going, Jeremy. You were Shade at that point.
No,
No,
that
I
was Johnny.
Oh, Johnny
I was
was?
I was the one that made it black, and that's when he started attacking.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Shade during.
Yeah, during
Oh.
our interaction.
That's right.
I think the name Shade is fitting because in each scene we did get a different shade
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the scene.
Yes.
Sometimes Shade is like a little playful. Sometimes Shade is really, really dark and angry. Sometimes Shade is like just straight up evil.
Well, and we talked about that. Well, Jordan and I talked about that early on about having it rotate between different players
Yeah.
and how to do that effectively and some of the flavors that it'll give to shade. And
That's something that we talked about a lot because it was important to us to show that Shade is a very capricious character.
Yeah.
And just by having having the GM always say this is what Shade does, or having the player say, "Oh, this is what Shade does," takes away the capriciousness.
yes,
So by inserting in another character, and it was very much inspired. The decision to make it the way that it is was inspired by our fiasco session where Johnny was in Jeremy's head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I am so disappointed that one did not get.
That was
I am too.
was that the really dark one that you guys?
No, that was the
No,
Camp Death.
that-
Oh, okay.
that was the slasher horror.
Camp
Okay.
Death.
It was actually
is-
pretty lighthearted for what it was. Fiasco
Yeah,
for what it was.
Yeah, I mean there were some
It was very
like,
campy.
there were some creepy
Oh, it
moments
was
too,
definitely creepy moments.
but it wasn't overtly dark.
Okay.
Johnny's character ended up being a figment of my character's imagination.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Because it just so happened that Johnny's character didn't interact with anyone but Jeremy's character.
And when he did interact, everybody else was just creeped out.
Uh-huh.
They were just like,
Who is this guy and
Huh?
why
What's
is he
going
so
on?
evil?
and it wasn't planned. It just
It
happened
just happened.
naturally that way.
And then also I inserted another voice, like a dark passenger kind of voice, like
Uh-huh.
you're going to open the pills, and you're going to dump them into the toilet, kind of thing. It got dark in some places. It was pretty funny in others, but that voice, like, so this guy who's having two different voices
Yes,
talking at
yes.
the same time, that's kind of something that I wanted to capture with Shade. And the best way to do that is to rotate it amongst different players so that Shade,
Yeah.
you never know who it's going to be or how the mental processes will be or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing Shade, I definitely had the lighthearted approach, you know?
Yeah.
It almost, ended up with death, but it was going to let you die.
I was going to vote for Sam.
So we had two for Jerr,
2 for
Two
Jerry.
for Jerry,
one for Sam, one for
Chime.
Yep.
So Jared gets the point.
Jerr, you get the point. Sweet. Also, you all get 10 points straight off the bat.
Yay!
Yay.
Who's furthered their character the most?
That's a hard question.
That is hard.
Furthered or developed
Advanced
their character the
Or
most.
changed.
Yeah.
That's a
Because what do you consider an advance? Like Julian, I would say it was a regression almost.
Move the goalpost from one point to another.
Okay.
Showed character growth or change.
It's one of these two.
Yeah. It's got to either be Julian or Jer. I would almost say Julian because of the events that occurred. There were multiple things that led Julian down this ultimate, moment of self-destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my vote would be on Julian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Julian as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless you want to vote for yourself, it's 3-1.
We got to actually see Sam be a little more assertive herself. Even
myself.
almost challenging Shade at the point with Abel,
Mm-hmm.
so, which is not something we have seen before.
Arguing explicitly with Shade about what to do.
Briefly, and then still towing the line.
Yeah.
I would say there's potential there. So
Yes.
keep going in that direction because ultimately that decision was taken out of his hands.
Correct.
Because Abel decided to do what Abel wanted to do, and ultimately Sam didn't have a say, or Sam or Shade didn't have a say in that.
Right.
So, but that could be the start of
A very interesting progression.
yes,
Yeah.
And that's
you could go places with that one.
Yeah.
So that would have been my vote
It's an interesting choice.
because it's something totally brand new that we hadn't seen, and although we did see a further progression of Jerr. But there was just more. That I think was more of just a continuation of what we saw last session. So it wasn't something totally brand new. It was just further explaining the change that had already happened in my viewpoint. So,
Yeah.
Well, that's why I voted for.
well, that was totally brand new for Julian.
yes.
Julian.
So very new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and then you had that solo scene for Julian where you already had it planned out, and
Well, yeah. It's because you knew that it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
we all knew that it was
you
coming.
knew that there was going to be the moment where it hits him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's got to be a pretty decisive thing that happens. Which direction does he get pushed?
Yeah.
Because aside from just completely shutting down and not doing anything, which is, I mean, it is a common reaction, which is why he did what he did at first, where he was just, it didn't look like he was doing anything.
He was wandering around.
He was wandering.
Yeah.
And then what you saw at the end, he's made a decision. What that is, we shall see.
Yeah, we'll have to find out later. So anyway, it sounds like Julian
Yeah,
I think it's the point.
gets the point.
sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now for our favorite discussion.
Food.
Food.
We had some good food tonight.
We did have
We
some
did.
good fish tonight.
Did.
Full disclosure, if there's a tie, I can't vote. I just, since last time we recorded, I had some surgery, and so I can't, I'm on a bit of a restricted diet right now.
So everybody votes for the person to the right, and we all get a point.
Yeah.
Because there's
Perfect.
a guaranteed tie, and Jordan can't break it.
We'd have to go wake Kim up.
Yeah, actually, your wife tried everything, Jeremy, so.
Yes, she did. She's long asleep by now.
She liked the enchiladas, though. I know
Yeah,
that.
she does.
The enchiladas.
The enchiladas were good. Jeff brought enchiladas.
Uh-huh.
They were quite tasty
Johnny.
and really easy to make.
Johnny brought
Jalapeno bacon encrusted poppers.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, they were amazing.
Mhm.
They were like,
He used thick cut bacon, so it's just like chowing down.
They look like
on-
egg rolls.
Almost like
They did.
ham slices. The
Yeah.
bacon was
Yeah. Yeah. Biting into it, I was
amazing.
like, is this ham in here? This like, they're really good.
Mhm.
And then Aaron, you had some homemade
Homemade
salsa.
which
which
went
was-
excellent on top of everything.
Yes,
It was great. The salsa was
it was really good. And then Jeremy made these omelet boats.
Omelet boats. Basically a Pillsbury Grand's biscuit shaped into a bowl, and then you cook an omelet mix inside of it.
Those were delicious as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
My vote is for the salsa.
Salsa.
I'm a big salsa fan, and that salsa was very good.
my vote probably gonna be for those poppers because bacon
Cheese.
And jalapeno.
and bacon.
So just because bacon.
Well, there's bacon in the omelets too, but
Yeah, there was
There was bacon?
Yeah, there was, and it was quite delectable.
I think I'll vote for the poppers.
I'm going to vote for the omelet that I brought.
That's fair.
Yeah, ham and cheese omelet from IHOP. It was about as big as a Chipotle burrito.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have been just like 2 or 3 eggs. It had to have been like 6 or 8 eggs. It was huge.
They're like the jumbo ostrich eggs.
Yeah, you know.
3 of those.
So yeah,
That would be huge.
since I really did not share with anybody, that my vote doesn't count. So
Johnny.
Yeah, I want to say it's salsa because it went really good on top of everything else.
it
It was the
enhanced
perfect
everything.
condiment.
But if you vote for salsa, then we have a tie.
Yes.
And then we
And then you both get points.
I'm okay with that. Considering
In that case, salsa. Because like I said, it was the perfect condiment because it made everything else taste that much better.
Nice. So let it be written, so let it be done.
2 for salsa and 2 for poppers.
1 for...
2 votes and 2 votes. 1 point.
2 fate points.
I appreciate your adaptation of Shades. It might be a little late in the evening, but I can still see past that.
You said 1 point. I think 2 points would be more fun.
It would definitely be more interesting.
It's also a hard no.
Hard pass.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for a fun set of episodes of gaming. I appreciate all the work you guys did with your characters today. Honestly, I just show up and I barely even have to look at the notes that we did. Everything went so well in terms of the gameplay. I didn't have to do a lot of prompting. A few things showed up that I had written down, but just a few. For example, the fire drakes were going to kidnap Chime. So
Again.
Oh gosh.
Dang.
So that's not happening at this point.
Yay!
At this point, he said.
They might kidnap Shade, and Shade might be like, you know what? I like you guys.
Question is, are they going to kidnap Sam with Shade?
Yes.
Because we know it's possible.
It's possible. Have your lungs ripped out. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. Our cast is Aaron, Jeff, Jeremy, Johnny, and Jordan. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means that you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @bonethrowerstheater, and also you can look us up on Facebook. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.